This is Greg Noyes of Pacific West Home Inspections, and today I'm doing a house in Norco. Today is Tuesday, and I want to go over how to shut off the utilities. On the right exterior of the house, we find the gas meter, and you'll need a wrench for this, but on the side here where the pipe comes up from the soil, there's a tang. You just turn that 90 degrees, that'll turn off the gas. Now there's a rusted gas line next to it, connected to it, and that goes out to your, it's an abandoned one, it goes out to your pool heater, and there's no more heater here. So that could be disconnected if you wanted. The main electrical panel is a Federal Pacific, and it's 100 amp, and there's some missing open breaker slots here, and you can see there's missing labels in this. Federal Pacific is a very popular panel, but it's now come back to haunt us, so I'd recommend to replace this panel. The next thing we'll look at is how to shut off the water. So at the very front of the house, there's a water line that comes up, and there's a valve on the very bottom. It's a blue handle. You just turn that 90 degrees, and that shuts off all the water. We use a regulator out here because the pressure at the street's high, and this will lower the pressure under 80 pounds. And I'll put a pressure gauge on later to make sure it's working. And then when we have these, we also want to use a pressure relief valve. There's not one here. And the hose bibs here, we like to see another part to them. It's called an anti-siphon device. So if you put a hose and you're out soaking your lawn and someone flushes a toilet, you're not bringing dirty water back inside the house water. Next thing we're going to look at is the garage and the water heater. In the garage, we find the water heater, and they almost got it correct. There are a couple of things that need improvement. One is the vent going up through the roof. It's an old transite pipe, and we haven't used those since 1978. And the manufacturers require steel vent pipe for their water heaters today. And then this supply line here needs to have insulation. And this is a newer tank water heater. It's been replaced, so it's 2013 when it was manufactured, and it's a 50-gallon tank. If you look at the gas line coming in, you'll notice another pipe coming down. And this is a sediment trap, and this is what we like to see. And also they installed a drip pan as well. When I pushed against the tank water heater, it didn't move, so it's secured well with these siphon straps. Today, the pilot's off, the water heater's not working, so the gas company needs to be called, have them come out and check the gas appliances, and they'll relight your water heater. In the garage itself, we like to see those red and black GFI outlets devices. You don't have one here. And this wire over here is a bonding wire, and it wasn't bonded to the hot side, just the cold and the gas line. I'm going to bring the camera over to the garage door, and we like to see two handles on a garage door. One on the very bottom section and one the next section up. So we don't want you to put your fingers in the gaps here to open and close the door. Earlier today I ran the door, and it auto reverses when it hits something, and then also these beam lights here work as well. They're set a little high, so we like them 4 to 6 inches high, so that could be easily adjusted. And bringing the camera around the fire door to the house, that self-closes. And I just want to point out a couple things here. At the very front of the house, they have a pretty steep driveway. Now, I was talking to the neighbor the other day, in case of rain and flow of water, And he said he didn't know of a time where the water rushing down the street had jumped the curb. So it should be okay there. There is a little trough here, about 5 feet out of the garage. So with that, you should be okay unless you have a torrential rain. Now in the front yard, the slope there, they have some railroad ties holding back the soil, and they're tilted over. So a couple things there. But the next thing we're going to do is we're going to climb the roof. So let's get ready. And I got the ladder set up. And it's a composition shingle. And I aged it earlier by the wear on the edges, and there's some black or green moss on the north side. So it's about 4 or 5 years old. And there's no gutters. So it's something you may want to think about putting in. And as we climb, on the back side of the roof, there is a cap sheet, and that's probably about 10 years old. Typically they last 12 to 15 years. Now you can see some discoloration and newer type of shingles, so they have done some repairs here, and they look a little bit newer. There's a wood arbor. You want to keep that painted. And I'm going to bring the camera around. And you see the transite pipe here for the water heater. So that's, we want to see that metal. And then the original house had a masonry chimney with a metal flue, or a clay flue. And they framed this box around the chimney. I've never seen anything like it. Give it a different look, I believe. But the metal cap here doesn't extend beyond the walls here. There's big gaps. So rainwater will flow into the system and cause leaking. Also, you got some exposed nails here. Water will come down through here. And I'm not sure what the tint was here, but it could be a leaker for you. Also, where it meets the roof line, there's no metal flashing, and so this addition they put in, to me, it's just nothing but going to cause future problems. We're going to bring the camera around, and you got this beautiful California living. You have your pool. They've done some modifications to the coping. Pool plaster is a couple years old, appears. Typically it lasts 10 years, and they've removed the heater, so we just have a filter and you do have a air device for a bubbler for your spa, and you can eyeball your neighbor here as well. So the other concern I would have is the slope of the property. All your water from your yards go down towards your neighbors, so they may be complaining during a rain. Anyway, so I'm up in the attic, and I'm going to look at the furnace. As I got up here, I noticed the ducting is made by a company called Manfield, and this one is somebody put their foot through it. It's disconnected, as you can see. And if you look at it carefully, there's no liner in here. It's just all fiberglass. So this is no longer approved material for, and you can't clean these. So if you call a company out to duct clean, they can't even touch them. Now over here is your, we'll bring the camera around. Is your newer furnace, and when you put a new furnace in, you're supposed to change out all your ducts, and then your system needs to be pressurized to make sure you don't have any leaks. So we cut some corners here, and then also there's no sediment trap on the gas line there. So a couple things need to happen here. And then to get over to the furnace, you notice there's no walkway. There's supposed to be a 24-inch walkway and then a service platform in front of the furnace. So they done some modifications the wrong way, and then I've noticed a lot of these rat traps up here as well. The installation is this the fiberglass bats that we see all the time, and it's the new sheeting plywood. They took off the old wood shake, put in plywood, and you have one layer of roofing now. The AC line coming in, this copper line here needs to have insulation, and then the 220 power that goes out to the unit, it's been pulled out of the I don't know if you can see that, out of the conduit, and there's no junction box for the connection. So this is really dangerous because the edge of this conduit will scrape against the insulation and short out your wire. So there's a couple of things that need to happen up in the attic. This is Greg Noyes, Pacific West Home Inspections, and I can be reached at 818-271-0417.